My name is Margaret Chen, and I've learned that sometimes the universe puts angels in the most unexpected places. This is the story of how a terrified taxi driver saved my life at an airport in Phoenix, Arizona, on a humid September evening. That changed everything I thought I knew about trust. I was 53 years old, recently promoted to senior consultant at a marketing firm in Boston. My husband of 28 years, Robert, had been distant for months. I told myself it was stress from his real estate business. I told myself a lot of things that weren't true. The Phoenix trip was supposed to be simple, a 3-day conference, then home. But on the final morning I returned to my hotel room early, forgetting my portfolio. That's when I found them. The text messages on Robert's phone, left carelessly on the nightstand. Messages to a woman named Jennifer. Sweet words, plans, promises he'd once made only to me. My hands shook as I read them. 28 years. Our daughter Emily's college graduation. Our son David's wedding last spring. All those Sunday morning pancakes and anniversary dinners. All of it, shadowed by this betrayal. I didn't confront him. Not yet. Instead, I boarded my flight home with a heart full of questions and a mind already planning. 6 months passed. I played the dutiful wife while gathering evidence. I consulted lawyers quietly. I opened my own bank account. I waited. Patience, I'd learned, was its own form of power. Then came March. Robert announced a business trip to Atlanta. Something in his voice felt wrong. Too eager, too bright. On impulse, I decided to follow him. I booked a flight, rented a car, and watched from across the street as he entered not a conference center, but a romantic restaurant with Jennifer, a woman 15 years younger with auburn hair and an easy laugh. The rage that filled me was cold and calculating. I didn't make a scene. I photographed them. I documented everything. Then I flew home and waited for his return. The confrontation was quiet and devastating. Robert stammered excuses. He blamed his midlife crisis. He said it meant nothing, but I saw the truth in his eyes when I mentioned Jennifer's name. He looked relieved, as if part of him wanted to be discovered. I want a divorce, I said, simply. The months that followed were brutal. Robert fought me on everything, trying to hide assets, claiming I was unstable. But I had evidence. I had patience. And I had something he'd underestimated: my own quiet strength. The divorce was finalized on a rainy Tuesday in October. I got the house, a fair settlement, and most importantly, my self-respect. Our children, though heartbroken, supported me. They'd seen their father's betrayal too. But this story really begins 2 weeks after the divorce was final. I was flying back from a consulting job in Phoenix again, oddly full circle from where my suspicions had first bloomed. As I walked through the airport terminal, exhausted and ready to be home, I noticed a man watching me. He was middle-aged, nervous, wearing a taxi company uniform. When I exited to the taxi stand, he was there, opening his cab door with trembling hands. "Need a ride, ma'am?" His voice was tight with fear. Something felt off, but I was tired. I climbed in. He started driving, then suddenly locked all the doors. My heart hammered. "Don't get out here," he said urgently, his eyes meeting mine in the rearview mirror. "In 5 minutes you'll understand why." I gripped my purse, ready to scream, when he added, "Please, I'm scared too, but there's something you need to see." His genuine terror made me pause. "What's happening?" "Your ex-husband," he said. "Robert Chen. He hired men to. I was supposed to take you somewhere. They paid me $5,000. The world tilted. "What are you talking about?" "I'm Ahmed Hassan. I've been driving cabs for 15 years. Never missed a day. Never broke the law." His hands shook on the wheel. 2 days ago a man approached me, showed me your photo, said he'd pay me to take you to a warehouse on Route 47. Said others would meet us there. He gave me half the money up front. My blood ran cold. "Why are you telling me this?" "Because I have daughters," Ahmed whispered. "Because?" "When I looked at your picture, I saw my wife, my sisters. I couldn't do it. But if I warned you beforehand, you wouldn't get in the cab. And if I just refused the job, they'd find another driver, someone who wouldn't hesitate." He turned down a side street. Ahead, in the growing dusk, I saw them 3 police cars, Lights off. Waiting. I called the police, Ahmed said. I told them everything. I'm wearing a wire. They've been following us, waiting for the right moment. As if on cue, the police lights blazed to life. Ahmed pulled over, and within moments, officers surrounded the cab. One opened my door. Gently, Mrs. Chen, I'm Detective Sarah Williams. You're safe now. We need you to come with us. The next hours blurred together. Police interviews, recorded statements. Ahmed had given them everything: recordings of his conversations with Robert's hired men, bank transfer records, text messages. Robert had been planning my murder. In his twisted logic, it was cheaper than the divorce settlement. Cleaner, he'd inherit everything if I died before the final papers were filed. The hired men were arrested at the warehouse, along with Robert at his apartment. The evidence was overwhelming. At the station, I finally met Ahmed properly. He sat in a quiet room, looking exhausted and relieved. Why? I asked him. You risked everything. They could have killed you too. Ahmed's eyes filled with tears. My daughter Layla is your age. She went through a bad divorce last year. Her ex-husband tried to take everything from her, tried to turn their children against her. I watched her suffer. He pulled out his wallet, showing me a photo of a beautiful woman in a colorful hijab, smiling with 2 teenagers. When I saw your picture, when that man told me what to do, all I could think was, what if someone did this to Layla? What if someone looked away when she needed help? He wiped his eyes. I couldn't be that person. I couldn't live with myself. I reached across the table and took his hand. You saved my life, Ahmed, and you gave me back my soul, he replied softly. The trial came 6 months later. Robert was sentenced to 25 years for conspiracy to commit murder. His girlfriend Jennifer, who'd known nothing of his plans, left him immediately, horrified. But the real story was what happened after. Ahmed's courage sparked something in me. His taxi company, learning what he'd done, gave him a bonus and public commendation. But he was struggling financially. The stress had caused health problems, and he'd missed weeks of work. I used part of my divorce settlement to help Ahmed start his own small transportation business, Hassan Family Rides, specializing in safe transport for women traveling alone. I helped him with the business plan, the marketing, the licensing. Layla, his daughter, became the office manager. Within a year, they had 12 drivers, all carefully vetted, all trained in passenger safety, all committed to Ahmed's vision of kindness over profit. I also started volunteering at a domestic violence shelter, helping women navigate divorces and safety planning. I shared my story, the betrayal, the danger, and the stranger who became my guardian angel. Emily and David, my children, were shaken by their father's actions, but found healing through family therapy and time. David named his second son Ahmed, born 3 years later, in honor of the man who saved their mother. 5 years after that terrible night, I attended the wedding of Ahmed's youngest daughter, Zara. The reception was a beautiful blend of cultures: traditional music and dancing, American pop songs, tables filled with both Middle Eastern delicacies and classic barbecue. Ahmed found me during the celebration, his face radiant with joy. Margaret, thank you for being here. You're family now. No, Ahmed, thank you for everything, for seeing me as someone's daughter, someone's mother, for choosing kindness when cruelty would have been easier. He smiled, that gentle smile come to know so well. My grandmother used to say, the universe tests us not with what we suffer, but with what we witness. That night, I was being tested, and I chose to see you as human, just human, deserving of life. We stood together, watching his daughter dance with her new husband, surrounded by family and love. I thought about Robert, alone in his prison cell, about how his need for revenge and greed had cost him everything: his family, his freedom, his soul. While Ahmed's simple act of courage had built bridges, created community, and saved not just my life, but his own sense of humanity. There's a photograph from that wedding that sits on my desk now. Ahmed and I, arm in arm, laughing at something Layla had said. Behind us, you can see both our families mingled together, my children talking with his, our grandchildren playing together. People often ask me how I moved past the betrayal, How I learned to trust again after my husband tried to have me killed. The answer is simple, though it took time to understand. Robert taught me what betrayal looks like, but Ahmed taught me what humanity looks like. And in the end, one stranger's kindness erased years of one man's cruelty. I learned that revenge doesn't heal wounds, it only deepens them. Robert's attempt at revenge destroyed him, but my choice to respond with gratitude and generosity created something beautiful. Now, at 59, I run a nonprofit connecting domestic violence survivors with resources and support. Ahmed serves on our board. Together, we've helped hundreds of women escape dangerous situations and rebuild their lives. Sometimes, on quiet evenings, I think about that moment in the taxi, the locked doors, the fear, and then Ahmed's trembling voice saying, "Don't get out here." An angel in a taxi driver's uniform, sent by a universe that still believed in kindness. They say revenge is sweet, but I've learned that mercy tastes better, that choosing compassion over retaliation is its own form of justice, that sometimes the people who save us are the ones we least expect, and that love, real love, isn't just what we feel for family or romantic partners. It's what we show to strangers. It's the choice Ahmed made in his cab that night, the choice to see suffering and say, "Not on my watch." That's the love that changes the world. That's the love that saved my life.